Hello, guys and girls. So, if you have made it this far to this section, I want to really appreciate you all for believing and sticking around with me. Okay, so in this tutorial for my Python series for beginners 2026, we are focusing on loops, for, while, break, and continue. Basically, everything you need to know on loops. So, if you have made it this far, I'm very grateful, and I hope you are excited because I am for sure. So, if you see my code writing section, I have like lots of comments and things we're going to be covering in this tutorial. You can see it's just not that brief, but it will, touch your brain a little bit. So you can see all the things we're going to be covering in this tutorial and a practice exercise at the end. So you can take a look at the practice exercise. I'll zoom it out a little bit. Control Shift plus, and it zooms out like this. So you can take a look at the practice exercise. If you find out that you can do it on your own, you can skip to the next video and making progress as well. So, but if you can't, sorry, this video is for you. You have to stay, you have to stick along with me. Okay, so let's get started. Firstly, I wrote a comment. What are loops? Loops let us repeat actions without writing the same code many times. So lets us repeat actions. Like if I should say something like let me write it down maybe inside these comments. Let's say print uh hello, like this. Then let me say print hello, like this. So let me copy everything like this. Let me copy Control C and paste it here and paste it here. I'll just delete one print. So if I run this program, Shift F10, you see there are lots of hellos right here. If in my code, hello, 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 and it takes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of code, which is not good because you won't even be able to see what you're doing properly. So that's why we need loops. Okay, so that is a very good reason that we need loops. So now going into for loops, I'll just remove this. So going into for loops, we have it runs a fixed number of times. Okay, so understanding for loop, using the same method we use for the hello, let's print out something. So I will say so the method we're writing for a for loop is for I means iteration, index. It depends on what you want it, how you understand it. So you can also use counter. Most people use counter, like counter. It's just like counting through the elements and stuff, but I think it's more basic and cool. So for in range, so range is the amount of times you need it to run. So in range 5, so you need it to run 5 times. Then what should we print? We'll print uh let's print hello, and we join it with maybe the so what it's going to do now, what do you think would happen? Okay, let's run this program. Shift F10, you see right here, you see I'll reduce this a little bit. Alt Shift minus, so you see right here it says hello 0, hello 1, hello 2, hello 3, hello 4. And note, for our for loop starts with an index of 0. I'm going to be showing you how it works when we go into our string functions and manipulations, and also my introduction to lists as well. So once we go into it, I'll teach you guys more on indexing and this thing, and indexing, iterations, and many other cool stuff. Okay, so back to our code writing section. So for the for loop, it has for I in range 5. So it ranges 5 times. You see hello 0, hello 1, hello 2, hello 3, and hello 4. So but if you want to specify the number it should range from, you can just basically do it starts from 1 and end in, if you say 5, it won't meet 5. So this is just starting and ending. The first number you're passing in is starting, and the last one is stop. So what they're calling it is start, stop, and end. But we're going to go into it in my other tutorials very well. But for now, we're just learning on loops and the basics of it. Okay. So next time, if we run this 1 to 5, what do you think would print? Some people will say, it will print 1 to 5. No, or let's say it's in like random. I also have a tutorial on random. Okay, so and then 1 to 5, if I run this, some people think it's 1 to 5, but it's print just from 1 to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what it's saying is that it starts from the first number you pass in, excluding the last number or elements that you pass in. So if I make this 6 now, it prints from 1 to 5 like this. It prints from 1 to 5. Okay, I'll just cancel this hello. I think it's confusing our for our code. Okay, so if I should run this, it prints from 1 to 5 like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's basically what you need to understand in loops. So you can just pass in one value, but if you pass in one value, it just assumes you want to start with the index of 0. So if I run this program with this one value, it starts with the index of 0. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's just for loops. So now moving on, I will just delete this so it doesn't interrupt my program. We'll just delete this code. So next thing we're going to be working on is while loop. I'll zoom this out a little bit like this. So I'll just clear this out, and we are going to be working with, wait, what's this? Why is this scrolling? Okay, wait, yeah, while loop like this. So working with a while loop, what it just does is, if you read the comments, it runs until a condition becomes false. It's very like cool and very easy to understand. So it keeps going until a condition becomes false. Or you can also understand it like it keeps going as long as a condition is true. So as long as, let's say you have a number, okay, I'll give you guys an example. So let's say we have something, we'll just name it count, and we'll initialize it to like 0 or something. So while we call the while for while loop, so it keeps looping. While count is less than 3. So while the count is less than 3, as long as the count is less than 3, you see the count is already 0. So as long as the count is less than 3, it keeps going. If I run this program now, it's going to either give an error or crash our program because it doesn't have a condition that ends it. Okay, wait, let me show you guys something. So I should print, let me print something like counting, then outside the counting I will do like count like this. Okay, so y count is initially 0 and y count is less than 3, it prints this. So you see we don't have any way to break out of our while loop, and count is less than 3 because 0 is less than 3, so it gives what they're calling an infinite loop. So if you don't have enough space, don't try running the code, but I think I have enough space, so I'll run it. If I do, you see infinite loops, it keeps counting to forever. So I'll just crash the program. Okay, so we are good to go. So the infinite loop, it keeps running till forever. You won't know when it to stop, but it sends the message across though. So the next thing we are going to do, so in a while loop, you need a condition that breaks out of the while loop, so that makes the while loops like break out. So this is a very good way of writing a while loop. I'll show you guys a very bad way, but it's easy as well. And as we are moving on, so the next thing, what we are going to do to change this is count is equals count plus 1. So now we say as long as count, you can just read it like a normal English. So as long as count is less than 3, you print this. Then how should we make it to be greater than 3? So it will execute or turn to false in this while loop. So we now initialize count to equals count plus 1. So if you see, if I run this program, it does counting 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. So count is 0, it counts 1, 2, and if it passes 3, it just breaks out of the while loop. So this is a long way of writing this count. You can also do something like this. Let me say I clear this out like this and add plus like this. So this, it also does the same thing. So if I run this program, you see it still does the same thing. So it's just like a shorthand way of doing it. You can check out my last video on operators and expressions for the tutorials, okay, to understand how it goes. So the next thing, so that was basically it for understanding while loop. So if you see, there's something else I figured out. If you copy this, Control C, I'll clear it here. You see, basically our result is giving us 0, 1, 2. So if I clear it here and put the exiting condition on top of the while loop like this, it firstly it increments the count, and then you see what will happen. If I run this program now, you see it starts from 1, 2, 3. I don't know, but it's kind of confusing to me, but it still works. So firstly, when you enter the while loop, it increases it automatically. So the count is no longer 0, it starts with 1, count and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it. That's what I just wanted to say. So I'll just remove this and change it back to our normal program. So this is the best way of writing it. So the next one we're going to be going to is I'll just delete this code and scroll up like this. I'll scroll up, not too up. So break, stop a loop early. So we are going to be focusing on break. What break does? Mostly you see them most the best way to explain break is using a for loop. So for I in range, so we want it to iterate from uh, 0 to 9, range of 10. So it's still the same thing. 0 to 9 is also, if you count it like as elements, it's still like 10 elements. Okay. So but in programming, it's the index starts from 0. So you do like this. And so to understand break, then if I is the index or iteration, anyhow you want to understand it. If I is equals 5, then we'll print, let's just print something to send the message across, breaking at 5. So we'll call breaking at 5 and then we'll break. So this thing basically just breaks the whole program and stops it early. It helps to stop a loop early. Then outside you still need your print, because you need to still like print something. Okay, so outside the if statement, remember we still have to print our I, so to print something in the console like this. So you see, if I is equals 5, then it prints breaking at 5 and breaks the program and stops the program, not like break or kill it. So if I see this, I'll zoom this down a little bit like this. So you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, breaking at 5 and it stops. Okay, so that's just basically break stops it. So it's, since we are going to be going, I said that for the I in range we are going to be going from 0 to 9. So it was going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, then it reached 5. It now prints this breaking at 5 and now broke the and stop the loop early. So that's just basically what you need to know in break. And something similar to break is what we call the continue. So continue is something like similar, but a little bit of cool as well. So if I should escape this and increase this a little bit like this, so if I should check, I'll just clear this out for break. Now I need break to make you guys understand continue, so I'll leave it. So continue does the same thing. So if I just do copy this code like this and Control C, the same thing. So we want to iterate through 0 to 9. So I'll now print, now if I equals 5, let's say skipping at 5, or skipping, I don't know why my system became slow like this. Okay, skipping 5 like this. So now what we have to do, replace this break with continue. So I'll now press continue like this. I don't know if it will print this, but I'll type this continue. So it skipped 5. Let me run the program. Shift F10. So if you see in our 5, we print this. Let me reduce it like this. So in our 5, you see it's print something like skipping 5 right here. So it skips 5. Or if I remove this print now like this and maybe just run those the continue, so you understand it more better. You will see there is no longer 5. So it goes 1, 2. It goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It skips 5 and go to 6, like right here. So that's what continue does. It skip one loop step and move to the next. Break just breaks the loop like this. Like you can see, breaking at 5 and it stops here. Okay, so that's just basically it for break and continue. Like continue skips one loop step and move to the next, and break stop a loop early like this. So the next one we're going to be going into now is nested loop inside another loop. So this one is, I'll just make it quick because I have a full tutorial on this nested loops and more understanding on nested loop. So I'll just make this one quick. So I will say for row, and we'll just call it row. For row in range, let's say we want to iterate like from 0 to 0, 1, 2, but it's still 3 elements though. So in range 3, so the Python is just assuming that we want to start with 0 and end at 2, index of 2, because this index is excluded. this one is excluded. So for row in range to 3, they will now do for col is for column. Let's just use it like that. I like making it very good, so I'll name it column. For row in range 0 to 3, and for column in range 2, just like this. Then we'll print, let's use an f string so we won't waste time. We'll just say row, and I'll do this like this, and I'll call our row variable, and I'll now do like maybe comma and say column, and then I'll call our column variable like this. Okay, so now if I run this program, what do you think will happen? Let me run it. So if you see, you'll see row 0 column 1, row 1 column 0, row 1. So this thing, it sounds a little bit confusing. What it basically does is it goes through the row first. So we are starting from row 0, because I said that the first loop is going to start from 0 to 2, like this. The first loop, I'll just comment it for more understanding, to go 0, 1 and 2. Then the second loop, we go 0 and 1, because we are stopping at index of 2. So the first loop we go 0, 1 and 2. The second loop we go 0 and 1. So what it basically does, it takes the first one and counts it in with the second one. So what it does is, like the first one, since it's a nested loop, you see it does 0, row 0 column. Why is this thing bringing out all these things? Oh god. Row 0 column 0. Why is it bringing these things out? I don't need it. So I'll not type it, I'll just hover around it. So you can see it goes 0 and 0 like this, 0 and 0, then it does 0 and 1, then it does 1 and 0, 1 and 1, 2 and 0, 2 and 1. That's how it goes. 0 and 0, 0 and 1, 1 and 0, 0, and so on and so forth. So that's how it goes for nested loops. So it calculates this 0 and 0, this 0 right here with this 0, then it calculates this 0 with this 1, then calculate this 1 with this 0, 1 with this 1, 2 with this 0, 2 with this 1. So that's how it just keeps going, and that's how we derived all these row 0 column 0, row 0 column 1, row 1 column 1. So it's very good in some cases. And in my tutorial for finding duplicate word, this tutorial, so in this my tutorial, can you find duplicate words in an item, either from a list, a single word, or a sentence? We are going to do more on nested loops. Okay, so moving on, we have, I'll just exit this. So looping through a list, shouldn't be a big deal, and it's very cool and very understandable. Okay, so I would let me cancel this out. Firstly, I just hope you understand the nested loop the way I explained it, but I will explain it more further in my next tutorial on finding duplicate words. So the next thing we're going to do, looping through a list. So we say we have a list of fruits. So we just give like to a list. We have the square braces. We say the fruits are apple, banana, like this, and maybe let's say cherry, like this. Yeah, this one is enough. So the next one, to loop through a list, what we're going to do is basically for I in fruits. So this time like this. So but it's not that understandable, you don't understand what I'm trying to say. So we just do make this like as fruits in fruits, as all the whole fruit elements in this fruit, for all the whole, so it takes all the whole elements and print it out as a single element. You understand what I mean? So for all the fruits in the list of fruits, what should we print? Let's print the fruit. So the fruit is said to be like a single element, or let's make it more fun. Let me say I like, then comma right here. So I like this fruit, so it gives out all the fruits I like. If I run this program, you'll see I like apple, I like banana, I like cherry. So it goes through, it loops through this list for every fruit in this my list of fruits. So I can just, to make this more understandable, I'll just name this all fruits like this, and I'll change this to all fruits. So for every fruit in all my fruits, it now loops through it. So it doesn't matter what you name this, you can either even name it I and change this one to I, and if I run it, it still does the same thing. Okay, so that's just basically it. So just stick with fruits because I like, making it understandable. So that's it for fruits. In my list of all fruits, it loops through it and prints out the list of every fruit. So if I add more result, we are going to be covering list. Let me say mango or something. Look through it again. You see mango is added. I like apple, I like banana, right? I like cherry, and I like mango as well. So that's just basically the stuff for looping through a list. I have a full tutorial on lists, so don't worry yourself, we are getting somewhere. Okay, so this is my full tutorial on lists, so don't worry yourself. So if you see, yeah, so that's just basically it for our for looping through a list. So don't, if it's confusing, don't worry, we are still going to work on something like that. So then the last one, while loop with break, stop if input is exit. So the next thing is this loop, while loop, it's not a very good way of writing your while loop statements, but it's very easy. But it's most of the time, if you use this, it's either you get fired if you're lucky enough, or maybe it's very bad. It's a very bad way because it's not understandable, and it's, you know I'll write the program so you understand what I mean. So I'll just delete this out like this, and cover this, and let's go to our while loop. Yeah. So for my while loop, so if I just have a program like while true. So while true, what this thing means is that it just keeps going till you see you break. So it's a very easy thing to do. It's a very, very easy thing to do. Like, it's a very easy program, but it's not, you need to specify a condition. So this is not a very good way of writing your while loop. This is not a very good way. Okay, but you just still have to understand that something like that exists. So what I'm going to do, I'll ask the user for an input like this. I'll just call it user input is equals input, and I'll just tell the user to enter enter a word like this. Let me say I'll tell the user to type exit to quit like this. So enter a word, type exit to quit like this. So then for the while loop, we'll now use an if statement. If user input is equals exit, then we'll break. So this break basically just breaks out of the while loop. It just breaks out of the while loop. And so let's print something in case the user doesn't like type exit. So I'll print you typed, and I'll now call the variable user input like this. And outside the while loop, I'll just print, in case the user exits the while loop, I'll just print thanks like this to show that you have exited from the while loop. So basically what this code does is while true, as long as it's true, it's a bad code, but it still works and it's more easier to understand. So as long as it's true, keep asking the user to find input. So the while true works with a break. So as long as it saw this break, it just exits. So if user's input equals exit, then just exit. So let's run the program to see what it does. So enter a word. I'll just say like this. Enter. You say you typed enter a word. I'll say burger. You typed burger. Let me enter another word, cheese. So it keeps going and giving me, you type this because of this that we wrote here. You type this, it keeps giving me this. So if I click on exit, it breaks and give me thanks. Okay, it breaks the while loop because that's what it basically does. So while true is not a good way of writing it, but it's much more easier. So you use your while true and you add it with a break statement here if you need it to break on any iteration or anything. Okay, so that's just basically while loop with a break, and it's not a good way. So you need to specify a condition, and to specify a condition with while loop, all you need to do is, let's say we have this user inputs like this. We'll copy this. So a very good way of writing this program is this. So outside the this, then you ask the user for an input like this. So ask the user to enter a word, type exit to quit like this. So what we're going to do is then change this while true to as long as user's input is not uh is not equals uh exit. So as long as user's input is not equals exit, so you don't need this if statement again, and that's it. So we'll just copy this print and put it on top. So this one is a little bit shorter, but you need to understand how it works. So we ask the user for an input. So if the users after entering the input, if the input is not equals exit, it keeps asking the user for an input and stuff like that, and start saying you type this word, you type this, you type this. So if I should run this program, let me say I say you type this, you type this, you type this, burger, you type burger. So if I say exit like this, thanks, still it still does the same thing. Okay, so this is a very good way of writing your while loop, not while true, not the previous one we did, this one, yeah, not this. So this way is a very very bad way of writing your program. Okay, so now to our practice exercise, we have write a for loop that prints numbers 1 to 20, use continue to skip multiples of 3, and use break to stop the loop if the number is greater than 15. So get your hands dirty and start solving something. So if you can, I'll give you guys time to get the answer, and if you got it correctly, good for you. Pause the video and work on the practice yourself. Okay, great. I hope you got something, and take notes. Your way of getting it might not be the way I'm going to try to get it. I'll use my own way and a very cool and easier step to get it. So don't freak out, just stick along with me and just for your own understanding. So firstly, when writing my code, I always read the requirement one after the other. So the first requirement is write a for loop that prints numbers 1 to 20. So we'll say for loop for I, or let's say for number in range. So in our parentheses, we'll say 1, since it needs us to print from 1 to 20, we'll do 1 to 20, because as I said in the earlier tutorial, I said that 20, it's excluding this, so it prints 1 to 20, it's excluding the 21. So that's just basically the stuff. So 1 to 21, and so what's the second thing? Use continue to skip multiples of 3. So to skip multiples of 3, what are we going to do? Can you guess? We're going to use our modulo. So I say that it comes in handy most of the time. So if number modulus 3 is equals 0. So if number divided by 3 gives a remainder of 0, that means it's divisible by 3. So it's a multiple of 3 if it gives a remainder of 0. So I said that in my operators and expressions tutorial, I said that look at this sign as it's just giving the remainder. So if number modulus 3 is equals to 0, what are we going to do? We'll continue, because that's what the requirement of the practice says. So use continue to skip multiples of 3. So the last requirement is, I just made this one easy. Yeah, so you guys won't freak out. So if use break to continue the loop if the number is greater, to stop the loop, stop, not continue, stop the loop if the number is greater than 15. So what I'm going to do now is if number, not number is greater than 15, what did they say we should break? Okay, so that's it. So lastly, we remember we need to print something out to the console. So we'll print our number like this. So that's just basically the solution for this. So if you got something exactly like this, you know that you are following me and you are coding along with your naming variables, your many things. So that's a very good, and I think it's a very good practice exercise to test your understanding a little bit, and you can still have work on more and many other things. So it's very important for our final exam on this Python, our final tutorial. And for those of you that is saying what's the final tutorial, don't worry, I'll show you guys in a bit. So this is our final tutorial if you are confused or something. So this is our final tutorial. So all the things we are going to be learning in my Python series, we use it for our final summary for this, answering these three questions step by step. It helps you with your problem solving abilities, and also, many other things, testing your great understanding in Python. Okay, so that's basically all we are going to do in this video: loops, for and why, break and continue. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Remember, your feedback helps me create better content for you all, and see you in the next video.